Great. Thank you so much to everybody. And yeah, thank you so much to the OCFO team. You guys are doing incredible stuff in the space as well. So really excited to see how we build bigger and better from here as well. And thank you all for listening to me and also for hosting me as well. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Donna. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ayanda, I see you're already online with me. Can I ask you to step up? Guys,
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Guys, we thought we would ask one of the best fundraising experts and chartered accountants in our network to give us a couple of tips on capital raising and how to approach this fundraising process from a finance perspective. So we're going to give Ayanda the floor for the last couple of minutes as we see out this conference. Ayanda, great to have you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Lo. Thanks, OCFO team. Just a quick introduction. I'm Ayanda. I'm one of the CAs that works with OCFO as a consultant, and I also run my own consulting business called Kwandiso Consulting. Firstly, I must thank all the speakers this evening because they have mentioned everything that I am going to be speaking about, and they've made my job so much easier. So thank you, everyone. It's been really insightful just listening to everyone speaking. So I'm going to jump straight into it. The first thing I'm going to mention is get your affairs in order. Tian spoke about it, getting your financial processes right, getting everything in order, because you need to be able to pull the trigger should a potential investor want to take the conversation further with you, right? But not just your financials. Know your market, know your product, know your competitors, know what you're talking about. Get everything in order. You don't want to be umming and oohing when an investor says, okay, let's take it to a DD phase, right? To do the due diligence. You want to be ready to pull the trigger. So get your affairs in order. Secondly, do your research. Research the potential investors that you want to engage. Research what kind of funding, what kind of deals that they engage in. Research the cost of each type of funding and whether your business and you have the appetite for that kind of funding. Look into other deals that they've potentially done and be able to have an informed discussion with them. It will be very awkward now if you get there, you present, and then they say, do you have any questions? And you say, please tell me about yourself. Thirdly, look further than now. Look further than the capital that you need to raise right now for a piece of equipment that you want to buy. Be able to tell the story of your short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, because getting into a relationship with an investor is often a long-term relationship. And you need to be able to know if you're speaking the same language and if you can understand each other. How can two people walk together unless they agree, right? Fourthly, be flexible. As Sean also mentioned, that fundraising can not only yield financial results, it can yield other things. We recently engaged with a potential investor that isn't so keen on writing checks, but is keen on plugging in startups into an ecosystem. So an ecosystem where you have access to financial accountants and lawyers and techies that you don't necessarily have to pay for. Now, that kind of fundraising doesn't necessarily result in a check that's written out or cash in the bank. It results in being able to have access to other opportunities, being able to focus on your core business because everything else can be outsourced to outsource CFO, for example. The fifth thing that I want to mention is optimizing your track record. What I've seen in the fund space, where funds will engage in fundraising or will start their fundraising round, they will, as they're fundraising, deploy a bit of capital into projects or funding other working capital engagements to be able to show a track record to potential investors, to be able to say, not only can we raise funds, we also know how to identify good deals. We also know how to identify gaps and how to deploy this capital. And this goes hand in hand with fundraising, being able to show a success story, being able to show that you have a full package in terms of your offering. It's not just about fundraising, but it's also about deploying the funds. It goes a long way with your fundraising process. And then lastly, what I want to say is know your story. Know what you're talking about. Do not waver. Do not be swayed. Know exactly who you are, what you stand for, what you will and will not accept. Know who your customers are. Know who you're targeting. Know who your competitors are. Even know if you're competing on price, or you're competing on quality, or you're competing on turnaround times. Know those things, because if you're able to sell the story and you believe the story, then it makes things that much easier, right? So lastly, just thank you to the OCFO team for organizing an amazing fundraise conference. And thank you for the opportunity to share my 5 tips for fundraising.
Sure, Ayanda, thank you very much for closing us out on such a high note. I think you really kind of summarized everything that has been said here by entrepreneurs, by investors, really good inputs. Really appreciate you being here with us so late.